So I thought we'd just start the recording now, because otherwise it's we have to pretend that we don't know each other, and that's not the case.
Right, okay, yeah.
So we send each other clothes that we like on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So there's no point going, welcome to Liverpool, welcome to the studio, welcome to the podcast, because you are from here, so that would be a pointless thing to say. But Tom Killen, formally, welcome to the studio.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. Let's get the awkward bit out of the way. According to LinkedIn, you're an experienced, growth-led product manager, driving towards value, great culture, and chasing the pursuit of happiness. Is that true?
Yeah, I would say, to be fair, I think it's probably a reflection of me in general, as well as career.
Yeah.
Especially like the culture element. I think it's always been a big part of where I've got to, and sort of carried me along that way. I think pursuit of happiness, clapping moments is, if anyone's watched the film, I'm guessing you've watched the film, that scene where he comes out, he gets the job, he's doing that clap. I think there's a lot of times when I reflect back of in jobs and in certain instances where, they're probably the moments that stick with me the most, and what I'm chasing is that sort of, we've achieved something.
When was the last time you had a happiness clapping moment, or happy clapping?
Well, I shared it on LinkedIn, to be fair. So we've been working on an app, which is a bit of a roller coaster. We've been working on for quite a while, and I think, blood, sweat and tears went into it. And we got it out the door, we launched it, and we've seen some positive metrics off the back of it. So I think of all the work that leads into it, when that went and launched, there was definitely that element of me in the hallway clapping in a crowd of people.
So you wrote this on LinkedIn, which your activity has gone upwards over the last few months, okay. I would say. But you put, I won't read it all out because it'll take ages and people will be bored of me, not the post. But 5 golden rules that have served me well as a product manager. So being a product manager is one of the most rewarding and toughest roles out there. Over time, there are a few golden rules I've come to live by. Here are 5 that have truly made a difference to me. So number 1 was test everything. Number 2, persistence is key. Number 3, move the needle. Number 4, if the business wants it, sometimes just build it. Number 5, it's just the product. What was the trigger behind that, and why did you post that, and what does it mean, or what do some of them mean?
I think obviously being a product manager by trade and working day to day, there's certain elements where stuff happens, and what I tend to do is write it in a little notes, come back to it, and these are some of the things, and when I reflect back of what product management means and what the role means. I think testings, if you've met me, which you have, you'll know that experimentation's a big part of my career and where it's got me to today, and some of the things that I've chased. So I think, test everything. I think even the smallest of changes can have an impact, although we may assume that it mightn't have an impact, and it's the right thing to do. I think testing just gives you that sort of success and goes, there's proof in what you've done. And I think more so with potentially when you're starting in a business as well, and you're sort of building them relationships with stakeholders, which is key, and building that confidence. I think there is elements and times where, although they may say, let's do this, and they might not be as much data or customer insight to say that's the right thing. I do believe there's an element of sort of going, right, well, it's worth a punt. Let's take the confidence element, and maybe even speak to them and figure out why they're doing it, because it might then raise your confidence. But I think sometimes it's just, let's just tick that box. And I think it helps with that relationship, right or wrong. And again, that's, I know testing in an A/B sense, you can see what's happened on the A and the B, but ultimately there's going to be potentially a result off the back of that. So even if it doesn't work, or it may not be the right thing to do, what happens after? And I think as long as you monitor that and you're able to feed that back, there's still that learning for both parties as well. So I think that's crucial on it.
Absolutely. So rewinding a bit, why product management? You've got a degree in law and you've got a master's in computer science.
Yep.
So fill in the gaps for like product. How did you get into product management and everything in between?
It's when I say a law degree, people say, well, I can't believe that. So I don't know what I'm giving off as an order, to be fair, and it only happened yesterday as well, which is funny. But I think, so a bit of a roller coaster, if I'm honest. It's as Steve Jobs, like you can't connect it moving forward, you can only connect it looking backwards. And I think that's an element for me of working backwards. I did my law degree. I think there's always been like this entrepreneurial side. I think I would say partly from being from Liverpool and being from where I'm from, like building like friendships and stuff like that. You always look up to that business side and elements, and not necessarily like a product manager career. I probably didn't know that existed. So just being that entrepreneurial, and I think it drove me forward, especially getting where it is. So I've done my law degree entrepreneurially, and maybe naively, I thought I can go and create software and go and sell it, make loads of money, live on a yacht. Everyone's golden. Yeah. But that's not necessarily the case, and I think I learned quite quickly coding's quite a different thing. So whilst I was studying, I got an internship at Bosch, which was great. And I think as part of getting some of the roles, especially early on in my career, I do believe it was more to the personality, entrepreneurial side, not necessarily the skill set. So I think that's got me into an internship. It then got me developer role. And I think if you asked who interviewed me there, they would agree and say, and actually told me and fed it back, like that you weren't really hired on the basis of your development skills. But they walked out and went, we've got to have this kid. And I think it was just that there was something there of the passion. So I think entrepreneurials dragged me in my early career. And then I think once I got into development, there was also an element of I wanted to know the commercial aspects. So as well as being a developer, I was less interested in the tech side of things, but more interested in the ideas and what that did to the business. So when I launched something, I'd go, right, what's this done to the numbers? Yeah. And I wanted to know to the monetary value of what that was doing. So I think that got me so far, putting in long hours. Like I'd make sure I was the one earliest in and leaving at the later point. Because I think that just shows the sponge element. I just want to take it all in. And then I think further on in my career, it was more around mentorship. So purposely trying to reach out to C-suite or whoever that may be, or someone that you think, well, let's build this relationship where you're invested in my career. Because then you ultimately, when you spend time with them, with people, you sort of learn more, and you learn more about the business side. So I think that excelled my career quite quickly.
Did that come natural? Because again, what I know of you, because we talk about different podcasts and what we listen to and stuff like that, like the self-development, is that something you naturally fell into, or is that a bit different to, those around you? Or like, because you are very driven and you do seem to be looking to improve all the time.
So whether it comes natural, potentially. What I would say is, and this is based off feedback, not someone. So feedback is regardless of who I'm speaking to, it'll be exactly the same. Yeah. So if I'm speaking to a CFO, I'm exactly the same person. I'll do the same jokes. I'll have the same humor. I won't change because I'm speaking to a certain person. Yeah. I think that's massively dropped the barriers with anyone I've spoke to. So they'll be like, right, okay, but I can just speak normal to it. So I think there's the self-development in a way of, I think it's just getting to the right people and then you making the time to fit the audience with what they're saying. So if I'm not I don't know, we're talking around business, and that's not certainly something in my expertise, because there's an investment there. They'll spend that time to go, well, actually, let me explain it this way. Yeah. I think it's, whether it's a personal thing I would say it's a Liverpool thing. I think being very proud of where I'm from and the upbringing and stuff like that, I think it's naturally for us to, naturally as growing up to just be like, want to speak to people and not really having a hierarchy and just really just getting to know people. So I think, that part of wanting to get to know people genuinely as well, that massively helps.
Obviously, in product management probably goes a long way as well. But what does product management mean to you? If you could describe it in your words.
I think, when I think back of me as a product manager, I would say I'm potentially different to most. And I think that's partly, I weren't a book, like textbook product manager. It was learnt on the job and experience. So I've sort of gradually grew my experience with different environments, different people, and then overlaid that with the textbook. So I think for me, what I deem product management is may not be what everyone else, but I think for me, it's being able to, I think first and foremost, it's stakeholder management. I think whoever is setting your goals as a product manager, you need to be really close with and understand what the business wants to do and understand that and sort of work with I know typical say 5 whys, but like really dig into the why, because I think you've got to then know what the why is to drive you forward. So once you know business goals, I think customer insights is the next thing. So you've got to then start understanding who your customer are. That could be, and again, ideal scenario, go and speak to the customer, figure out who they are. But also people are close enough to that customer. So once you have the business metrics or business goals, figuring out what the customer, what their insights are, and sort of marrying them up together, I think then looking at the metric side of things. So what can you influence? There's certain stuff that you won't be able to influence. You might be indirectly able to influence, but I think, you've really got to tie them two together and then go, right, okay, well, I think this metric is one that I can start moving. As part of that, I think a big part that I think of a product manager is the squad dynamic. So hopefully, like, you're going to get a squad, which will consist of various different disciplines. So you've got your designers, you've got your developers, you've got your QA. And I think the key thing for me is that camaraderie. And you've got to really be able to understand that story, but then also work with that team to get in the ceremonies right, figure out who they are, learn about them, what do they want from their career. And I think if you want to start them metrics that you're saying, right, this is going to start moving, if you get the squad element right, and that takes time and it is quite hard, then you start to go, well, actually I can start delivering on some stuff here. I think them two together is a product management, I think, responsibility. Stakeholders, customer insight, and a strong team. And then I think the last part, I think, which we all know, or at least product management, is storytelling. Because I think there's always going to be that journey for that part of time with that team. It's being able to really describe what you're doing and other people to sort of buy in, to go, yeah, they know what they're doing. So yeah, storytelling is part of that.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it wasn't anything to do with product management or agile, but they were saying, but it reminded me of what a product manager is. And they were saying, you have to have your ears so close to the ground that you end up getting dog shit on your ears. Yeah. And I think that's quite a good summary of what a product manager is. Yeah. It's just being everywhere all of the time. Yeah. But I think that can go unnoticed sometimes.
Yeah. I think it's advocating long hours, but I did a podcast and I was saying, like, the minimal hours you've got to do is 60 hours as a product manager. Because I do think it's that element. If you read the job description, you probably wouldn't go, well, actually, I need to be doing X, Y, and Z. That's someone else's role. But actually, you are leading this team. So there's an element where you, not necessarily, you could do a certain role, but there's an element where you've got to, ear to the ground. You've got to know what's going on. Because if anyone asks questions around, like, where's that up to? Or even, is there a blocker there? You've got to be able to articulate that and be able to remove them blockers. So yeah, definitely agree with that.
This wasn't on the questions, but how do you balance your energy and enthusiasm? You just mentioned there. Okay. I'm not saying you agree with this, but you said the podcast said 60 hours a week. How do you balance your energy and enthusiasm with the team who may not have that will and want and energy as a leader, I suppose?
Relentless pursuit. No, I think but it is, I think it's that it's that storytelling element as well. So, like, the reason I do what I do is because I love it. Yeah. And I think that's crucial. So, as well as loving it, I think the more you talk around value, the more you talk around the business and what you're trying to do. And I think that takes the long time and that energy and passion to go, look, this is why we're doing it. And I think there's always a point in time where I want my tech lead to message me and say, we're changing the world, And I know we're not changing the world, but there's something behind that actually that we're doing some good here. So I think it's just relentless. And it's hard, right? It's not like there's some days where, and I recently spoke about that, like some days where the energy is a bit zapped and you're like, this is hard. But I think you've just got to find a way to keep back up, because if you're leading, and I think right or wrongly, whether or not like directly you're leading the team, that team is looking up to you to be like, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? So yeah, you've got to overcome that and be like, no, I'm going to spend my time pitching this because that's ultimately what we're there for. I think
sometimes you have to have like, this is Sparta energy.
Yeah.
Like you've got to be fucking like up for it.
I the amount like, and I say this, I'm willing to die for people. Like I genuinely, I don't know whether
that's a clip. We're clipping that one up.
But whether it's like I would if circumstances come to it. I think maybe you have to put it to a test, the false thing. But I genuinely feel like that investment's there, and whoever that is, and I'm not. That's every member of the team is like, no, I'm willing to die for you. It's like, this is our team. We're going to move forward.
Do you think that comes from the city as well?
I think so.
As a visitor to the city, or what am I? Oh, a guest. Like what is that? That is very Liverpool energy, isn't it?
It is, and I think this is one of if I look back on my notes, there's one thing that I've never been able to articulate correctly. I think I would class it. I'm from Knowsley or Kirby. Like there's this energy, and I think being in that environment, not really knowing what career paths, I would love to tap into that at one point to be like, you don't realize that environment, what that does to you. Because I'm not saying it's a breeze, but when you get into these corporations, that energy will just take you to next level, and it'll just be refreshing for people. But I wish people knew that in where we are, because I don't think it's spoken of. But I think, that energy is just next level, and I think it is where we are.
Would it be fair to say it's like having a positive chip on your shoulder? Like there's a bit of edge. There's a bit of like, we're going to do this and we're going to do it together. Because sometimes when people say I've got, he or she's got a chip on their shoulder, that can be quite negative.
Yeah.
But I feel that can be quite positive sometimes, because you want to bring all of that ball of energy in a positive way. And when, we're going to speak to people how we want to be spoken to, no matter the level.
Yeah.
And I think.
Yeah. And it's been in the shit sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think we operate in the shit, and as in like, it's not that bad. Like I think that's a Liverpool attitude anyway.
Yeah.
It is what it is. We can get through it. The world's not falling apart. Like you can just keep going. So I do think that is a special part of anyone that's probably grown up in Liverpool, is you get that added bonus.
Yeah, I think so. Again, from the outside looking in. So if you were to go into an organization, what does a good product manager do in, say, the first month, 2 months?
So my first go-to, which I've done in both sides and at different spectrums of being a product manager, is let me see the numbers. Like I am big on, I want to see the data.
Yeah.
I want to see what you're tracking, because I need to understand that. And I think, that is always a good start, is let me see the numbers. I think that is, you'll then learn of what matters. And I think from there, you can then go, well, what customers are impacted from that? And I think the second you know what customer impacted, go and get your ear to the ground, get shit on your ear, go and listen to calls. Like brilliant. For me, it's go and find out what that product is that you're managing, find out who the customers are, start listening, start getting used to it, do a bit of research yourself, and I think build those relationships. I think they're crucial. You need to, who are you going to be working with for the next longevity, and then go and get to know them. And I don't mean as a interview them and go, well, what matters? Like, get to know them, say hello, speak to them. Do they have kids? Do they not have kids? Like, get to know them as a person, because ultimately you're going to be working with these people and you're going to need to rely on these people heavily. So I think they're probably the 3 things that I would personally do. Get to know the numbers, start listening to customers in the first one, and then build those key relationships that you're going to need to lean on.
Yeah. Have you had any, obviously you've mentioned that the books and the theory came after, but are there any resources, books that you've read that have helped build the people, more I suppose, the people side of it? So Never Split the Difference, for example, for me, was a big one. And I know you've bought some books into an office recently. Yeah. Is there any that you would, or have you just bought them to show off?
That unread library that I've got. So to be fair, I've purchased loads of books. I read, and I think it's a personality trait. Read snippets, take what I'm really good at, taking in bits of information, interpreting that in my head. So there's Never Split the Difference, as we've mentioned. The Write It was always a big one that was pushed on us. I think that's more around the testing side. Get skin in the game, get them to figure out, see where it's a good idea before you invest loads of resource. I think that was...
What was that one called, sorry? The Right Way?
The Write It.
Oh, the Write It.
So yeah, that's there. But again, I think I would more personal level resource-wise. I'm a big podcast, YouTube, Lenny's podcast. That's a really good one for product managers. I think I would recommend that to anyone who is in my boat that doesn't like the reading side of it.
Yeah, it's good.
I think the chapters are quite condensed. They cover what needs to be, and it's quite right. Next topic.
Yeah.
So listen to the podcast, listen the book, read the book, and I think there.
Has he got a book? Is he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's like a newsletter. It's like a recap.
Oh, Lenny's newsletter, Lenny's newsletter, Lenny's podcast. I'll put them in the description.
Yeah.
If I tag him, hopefully he'll give this one a shout out as well.
Yeah.
Product managers evidencing their work, whether we like it or not, there's going to be a point in the year where if you're in a permanent position, I suppose you've got to show what you've done, what value you bring in.
Yeah.
There'll be people watching this, say, maybe thinking I'm struggling with how to evidence my work as a product manager. How do they do that?
I think twofold. I think I know I keep talking about metrics, but I think that's ultimately what you're there for. I think I'm a big fan of spikes. I'm a big fan of showcasing spikes. So any increase in numbers that matter is always beneficial. So I think try and push that message. So if you've done something, and I would hope that you've got some level of monitoring, if you can see some numbers come up, push that message as far as you can. And that can be daunting. What I'm trying to say is push it as high as you can as well. So tag CFOs in.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think about the impact of that or what it is. I think as soon as you start to see it, start sharing it. Start sharing what the numbers are. And I think anyone that's interested in where the business is going, they're going to care about them numbers. So showcase that. I think at the end of every sprint, if you can showcase what you've done in the sprint, what metrics are there, are they changing? Keep relentlessly, as I say, put it down the throat, but it sounds a bit Wolf of Wall Street, but keep ramming it down the throat to people and even if they don't want to hear it, there's numbers that are going there. So I think, prove it in the data is probably the thing. And then the second thing, I know I touched on the squad, but squad morale, whether or not you think you're responsible for that.
Yeah.
If you've got a happy squad and that is coming out word of mouth or surveys or anything along the line. So if they're talking to someone like, oh yeah, no, we boss it, we do X, Y, and Z, I think they're probably the two noticeable things that'll start to gain traction. I'm always keen on being known as the best squad. That is my driving force.
Yeah.
I think every product manager should strive for that. You should be wanting your team to be the best team. So if a project comes on deck and it's life or death, it's a high priority, you want the people to go, right, that squad needs to pick this up. So I think there's squad morale, and then there's just show as much metrics as you can.
Love it. In terms of product management being, I wouldn't say it's a new role or a new thing, but it probably is in a lot of bigger corporate organizations. From your experience, again, for anyone listening to this, thinking about bringing product managers or product owners in, for the sake of this question, what have you seen? Where have the misunderstandings been? It doesn't even have to be, it could just be from things you've witnessed. You know, they bring a product manager in, maybe they haven't quite understood what he or she is doing or not doing.
Yeah, I think there's two things that can, and again, I think the talent that comes with a product management and the ability to wear different hats, I think they'll always find a way to navigate out of it.
Yeah.
But there's stuff that will prolong that and make it much harder. I think red tape's a big one. I get processes, and I'm a big fan of process, but probably a lightweight one. Like if it's to the point where it's preventing discovery, there's something needs unblocking there. So yeah, there might be various hurdles that this product manager needs to go through to get certain stuff. So I think as much barriers that you can remove with process, and just always reflect on it and go, is this the right thing to do? Are we getting what we need to? I think secondly is, as you touched on in the question, is the understanding of it. Like if you're bringing in a product manager, I would highly recommend understanding what they're going to do and what their responsibilities are going to be. Because I think they will have, majority of their time will be spent trying to shift people's opinion of what's there. And I think ultimately you want the product manager to manage and own a certain element, and that can be a culture shock, I think, for most people, to be like, oh right, okay, this person's now going to take control of this resource or this product. So I think for me it's it's make people aware of what this person's coming in to do, what responsibility they will have, and removing as much barriers to that, because you'll get the most out of them ultimately.
You mentioned discovery there. Have you got, again, this isn't on the list, but have you got any like favorite workshops that you like doing, just again for people who are going looking for new things, looking to learn? Have you got any particular sessions that you just like doing? Doesn't have to be a mainstream one, but
so I think there's various ones, like Strategizer's quite good at that, and we've tried different ones all the time. They ultimately cover the same concept, like customer, who's that customer, what's their segment, what's their pain points, what's their delights, and you sort of work around it. But I think the underlying theme, I think, is, and I think I'm big on this as well, is getting the squad involved. And I've done various ones of that, where you take a problem statement, whatever that may be, you give as much insights as you can, data-wise, insights, so there's a bit of belief there, right? Okay, this is a problem. Start working through drafting a problem statement, come up with some how might we's as a group, as a collective, and then from there, brainwrite, like let the team sort of ideate around that, come up with ideas. One question I love asking on them is like, no idea is a bad idea. So explore. I know a lot of the ideas will be very like tailored to that how might we, but go completely outside the box and think about something that is completely different to what you'll do. From there, prioritize, put a bit of a matrix, whatever way you want to do it. Value effort is probably the most common, but start to understand some of the quick wins, some of the bigger features, and again, there's a formation of what the backlog might look at. Another side of, just on the discovery side, I think putting some, you know more than anyone, like AI now, showcase. So if you've got an idea, you can probably build it within X amount of time, which is significantly shorter than what it would have been previously. Get that in front of people, get feedback, see what they think. Ideally, if you get in front of customers, you're going to get some crucial insights. But I think that's part of the discovery side.
Yeah. Do you think that should, in theory, shorten the MVP cycle, really, shouldn't it? Because you can just get rid of it if it's not very good. You were one of the first names on the team sheet for our event in October, the Not Another Agile Conference, which has been held just down the road in the Titanic Hotel on October 20th. You will be talking at that particular event. Tickets will be in the description.
Plug that in.
Yeah. What can people expect from your talk in October?
So I think I've been around product management for I think 8 years now. I think two very different challenges. One being a more established product space. So just getting stuck in and starting to deliver numbers. And then another probably going through like a digital transformation. So there's a lot of learnings through that and a lot of skills that have been built over time, which has helped me navigate both.
Yeah.
For me, that's what I'm going to try and cover is what are some of the tools and skills and some of the approaches that you can take and ultimately navigate whether you're in either spectrum of product maturity. And then I think, hopefully that'll be beneficial for both. If you're a product manager, you can sort of look at it and go, right, okay, there's some stuff that I can do. Here's some things I can look at. But then also business, if a business has product managers, hopefully that'll elevate a bit of this is what you can do to enable them and start moving the needle with them. And then you get me speaking about it as well, which is, I don't know, I'm quite excited.
I'm looking forward to it, mate. Yeah. I think you'll be great. Or I wouldn't have advocated for you to be part of it if I didn't think that was the case. Is there anything else on your mind? What's next? Anything you'd like to?
Not on my mind. I think, always exploring, always discovering. I think, again, a few LinkedIn posts over time.
Yeah.
Sticking with the similar theme, like can't connect it going forwards. Like I don't really know what's going to happen, but I'm just going to keep, doing what I'm doing, keep pushing the message, keep hopefully providing some good information, some good tips, and see where it takes me. But
is LinkedIn the best place for people to?
I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. I don't exist anywhere else. So,
fair enough. Oh, yeah.
So LinkedIn is the best way, but I'll always love the avenue of recording some stuff. I just haven't got that point yet, so we'll see where it takes us in the next couple of months.
Thanks for coming on, mate.
Loved it.